some of the tools or some ideas in ways in which you can sustain the change we saw on the prior slide. So we're big believers in doing lots of contests, making it team-oriented, workshops, fireside chats. Your owners should be involved, at least from a messaging standpoint. And then, of course, coaching the coaches. This is the other area, and this is, I mean, we could do a whole nother, presentation on this, but it's the number one success factor. So you've got ownership's got to buy in, and then probably the next sort of 1A critical success factor in determining the longevity of your program sticking long-term is to the level of degree that your managers know how to actively coach and they know how to model the behavior on the sales floor. So again, if they can't model the behavior, if we teach Jerry this is how we're going to execute a discovery call, but as his manager I can't execute it, it's probably not going to stick with Jerry. And that's where we see time and time again that disconnect.
Also, I am unteachable. On that note though, all joking aside, I remember my first time that I was a sales manager. Let me know if this mirrors anyone else's experience. I was a successful salesperson. My boss identified that I might be able to manage. He gave me the title sales manager and my training was done. We see that all the time, and we expect our sales manager to be able to carry our torch for us when we haven't taught them how. So it's critical that we teach our managers how to manage if we're going to expect them to succeed in that role.
Yep, and it's all about teaching them how to get real, true, genuine buy-in from the rep or the recruiter. And that's a skill that needs to be taught. Managing is not just telling people and telling out of authority. There's a methodology to developing and coaching people that managers need to be, most managers need to be taught how to do that. And then as far as sales playbook goes, sales playbooks, so once you map out your methodology and all the steps, how you want your reps to interface with your customers at each step of the sales process, you want to create a sales playbook that supports your rep and how they're going to execute that step. So it might be, a cold call script, it could be voicemail or email templates, but you want to have a playbook, and that way they can refer back to that. They can keep it right at their desk. Even better, you bake it right into Bullhorn so they can refer to that, and that's going to help drive not only adoption of the methodology, it'll actually help drive adoption of Bullhorn.
One of the beautiful elements of Bullhorn is that it's very configurable. So when you define your sales process, you can bake that right into Bullhorn so that your reps are following that process as part of their day-to-day.
Yep.
Real quick, and then we'll move on before we hit this slide, which is also mine. When we look at growing, if you're a smaller firm, say, start up to 5 million, the processes are less important at this level because you're still figuring things out. Once you get to around 5 to 10 million, they start to become increasingly relevant. Once you get north of $10 million, it becomes a hurdle if everybody's selling every which way. Tools like configuring Bullhorn to have your sales process brought in, having sales playbooks available to the reps, they help keep everybody on track